Hello and welcome to the Shute Out. We are into the final couple of rounds of the regular season of the Blue Crane Capital Shute Shield. And just to celebrate getting into this time of the season, I'm very pleased to say we have a special guest joining us for this week's show. Dan Parks, a fan favourite of the Blue Crane Capital Shute Shield, is with us. Parksy, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Will. And I've got a lovely backdrop here behind me with my beautiful work office in the yes, and on Kent Street here in the city. But yeah, absolutely delighted to get to this stage of the season. We're up to round 17 now, and yeah, it's certainly shaping up to be a very exciting ending to the season with a lot of contenders, in particular, a few contenders really coming through. Sydney University clearly being one of those in Eastern Suburbs, and it was an interesting result on the weekend, which we'll go through shortly. But yeah, very exciting time of the year, and it's good to be here, Will. It's taken me only 16 rounds, but hey, better late than never.
Absolutely. Kulo is away for the week and looking forward to covering this week's match of the round with you, Parksy, in commentary, which is Eastern Suburbs hosting Sydney University on Ladies' Day. We will be joined on this week's show by Sid Harvey and also by Sydney University coach John Manenti. But we would love to start this week's show by offering, of course, our support and thoughts to Wes Thomas and his family. Parksy, it's been great to see the entire rugby union community get around Wes Thomas and offer their support as he faces a battle to regain fitness.
Yeah, it certainly does. I was out there on Saturday afternoon, and unfortunately, in that 77th minute of that game against Sydney University, yeah, he suffered what appeared to be obviously quite a bad neck injury, and there was a lot of concern at the time. I reached out to some of the Warringah staff, Jake Letts, and he let me know that Wes was doing okay, but it certainly will be a bit of a fight for him. And yeah, it's just one of those unfortunate circumstances. There was really no one to blame, but yeah, as you said, the community certainly have got behind him. It's a wonderful club, Rats, and as I said, I know they're behind him, but not just them, it's the rest of the rugby community. And I'm sure we'll be sending a link to the GoFundMe page for Wes Thomas. And if you can, please support.
Absolutely, that GoFundMe page is available. Also, Jack Evenden up with Hunter, a GoFundMe page there as Jack continues his recovery from another unfortunate incident earlier in the season. Parksy, we're not far away from the grand final and finals. Tickets are on sale. Make sure you head to the Shute Shield socials for information all about that. Leichhardt Oval for the grand final. But into Parksy, round 16 reviews. The match of the round was Warringah 26, Sydney University 48. A big win for Union and a tough little wobble, I suppose, as far as Warringah's momentum.
Yeah, you have to say that. And I think leading into that game, I actually had a feeling that Warringah might have got away with that, especially at home. But you just got to pay credit to Sydney University. They started the game on fire. Their set piece throughout the course of the 80 minutes certainly dominated. I'd have to say the line-out in particular in recent weeks for Sydney University has been very impressive, in particular on ball against. And they certainly gave Wes Thomas a hard time. They disrupted a lot of line-out ball, and we know how much of an expert Sam Thompson is come line-out time. But University did a wonderful job there. And then the scrum at different times was completely dominant as well. So it was a real full display from the students in particular up front, and then you saw the class of some of their backs. And there was a moment there from James McGregor, possibly scored one of the tries of the season. And Boston Whakawhenua, what do they call them, the Dodgem car. There was a big hit on LeBron Nair, and well, LeBron Nair came out worse, and Whakawhenua ended up racing away from 35 metres away. But it was a really, really solid display from University, and you'd have to say they look pretty good going in, to the completion of this season. As I said, we've got 2 rounds to go, but they're certainly firing on all cylinders. They've got a lot of class all over the park, and we'll see from the team this week. There's some quality players that have come back in as well.
Gordon 40, West Harbour 35. This was an incredible clash. They say a tale of two halves. It wasn't quite that simple. West Harbour were brilliant early, though. Aidan Wern and Hunter Hannaford continue their terrific seasons. They seem to have gone to another level with the presence of Pete Samu for Wern and Jack Debrasini for Hunter Hannaford. But Albert Alcott was also terrific. The attack was so crisp and clinical. The forwards were mobile. Really quick hands and crisp running. Pete Samu scored the first try. Taukalo Matangi was important. Cam Orr was great. They were flying. West Harbour. Matt Whelan with some nice work out on the wing. Drew Sellers as well. It was 21-0 after 27 minutes and 35-7 at half time. And then in the second half, Gordon just absorbed the start and really just started to find their groove. No panic, as they've done under Dave Telfer plenty of times. And it's not that West Harbour dropped off. They just weren't able to recreate a lot of that magic that stuck in the first half. A few passes went to fingertips rather than into safe hands. And Gordon just really exploited a tiny bit of space. Connor Hickey found an inch or two. Milan Basson worked hard as he always does. Bacon burst through in the 68th minute, made it 26-35. Lockie Albert was brilliant off the bench as well in the second half after God had started. His decision-making was brilliant, steered them around really well. And Bacon scored again, made it 33-35 with 5 to play, excuse me. And then his hat-trick came in the 78th minute. Pure skill, power, determination after some nice work from Holland. Bremner was great as well. Tyler Burney was terrific off the bench. So it's a massive win for Gordon, really given the context of the season, but also just sticking firm. But West Harbour, credit to them. They are finishing so well. Sets them up brilliantly, hopefully, for next year and what they're building there at West Harbour. Parksy, Eastwood 0, 38 Eastern Suburbs. How did this one play out?
Yeah, it was a fascinating game. If you look at the result, you're probably thinking, well, it was a completely dominant performance by the Beasties, but that wasn't really the case. The score was 7-0 up until pretty much the 50th minute. East scored a try in that first half. Obviously, it was late in the first half to get to a 7-0 lead. There was a couple of yellow cards. In particular, there was one early from East, and then there ended up being a couple more from Eastwood in the second half. But as I said, up until that 50th minute when the score was 7-0, Eastwood were competing very, very hard. And it wasn't until a couple of late errors in the game, which I guess really blew out the scoreline. Obviously being 38-0, there were 6 tries in there, 4 conversions in the end. And Ollie Dawkins, well, he continues his good form. He scored another couple of tries, and they were built on the back of, in particular, the first one was on the back of an error. Ball on the ground, he swooped and ran from 50 out. And another one was through a grubber from Michael Isley, a former Eastwood man who, again, look at the quality of Eastern Suburbs. They're bringing Isley off the bench. For a man of that calibre to come off the bench is pretty special. And I think it says a lot about Eastern Suburbs. Without Sid Harvey, without Teddy Wilson, 2 of their real superstars, Jack Bowen, obviously no longer available for Eastern Suburbs. So these guys will come back in, or in particular the first 2 names mentioned there, Harvey and Wilson. They'll come back in next week against Sydney University. But you'd have to say it just goes to show the quality of East. Eastwood, they're still not done, but to score 0 points would have to be troubling at this time of year.
Southern Districts 33, Western Sydney 2 Blues 57. Jake Douglas scored the first try, which was great to see for one of the genuine and terrific servants of the Blue Crane capital, Shute Shield. Souths continue to push and fight this season, and the character of players like Douglas is a big reason for that. For the 2 Blues, they're hanging in there, and they're looking still dangerous for a lot of sides. Isaac Tatamaki's kicking game has been on show lately, spying space for the 2 Blues wingers, and they took a 12-7 lead within 15 minutes. 2 Blues hooker Leighton Tartua was impressive again, and the mobile back row was prominent, including Braden Stewart, who was everywhere. The 2 Blues led 24-7, and then after a Souths try from Jude Hope, Rod Yona did plenty of nice work to finish off a peach of a team try for Western Sydney. They led 31-12 at the break. As Souths do, though, they kept working and finding ways to attack. Blaze Barnes steered them around well, and the forwards were tough. Arkley scored another try. Thomas Gibb has had a really nice season. Douglas was tireless and scored a double, but the 2 Blues had done their damage and kept throwing it around to win 57-33. They were in a bit of a scrap to try and play finals, which would be fitting given the quality they've shown it a lot of times, but they've still got work to do the 2 Blues. Good win, though, against Southern Districts. Parksy Randwick, a big watch, continues on them 60, Manly 35.
Yeah, fascinating game. 95 points scored in the end, and it was interestingly enough, it was Manly who got off to a real flyer. They led 21-7. They were scoring tries at will in the opening 15 minutes, and if you were Randwick, certainly as a spectator, you might be a little bit concerned, but I think we know what we can expect from Randwick. And under the tutelage of Sean Byrne, it's his second year in charge now. Obviously ran the club last year, did a wonderful job getting them into the top 6. And it might have been a bit of a slow start this season for the Wicks, but Sean Byrne, I think he's got that balance right between run and kick, and certainly, piling on 60 points on the weekend, it was pretty impressive. And as always, James Hendren very influential in this performance, as we mentioned, 60 points. But one name I'm going to mention is Andrew Kellaway. He was absolutely outstanding coming back to Codland for the Wicks, and just goes to show how important a man coming back from that senior level, Waratahs, Wallaby legend these days, and coming back to his beloved Randwick club. As I said, he was absolutely outstanding. Some of those young guns we've mentioned who are in contention for Rookie of the Year for Manly, in particular, Joe Dillon and Billy Dickens, they were instrumental, in particular early on in the game. But at the end, Randwick were just too strong. As we said, they had plenty of points in them. You know, it might be slightly concerning the fact they're conceding 35 points coming into the final series, because they're looking very likely that they will get into the final. So, but we know how dangerous an attacking team they are, and if they can stay fit and keep those players I mentioned in particular on the field, they're a real shot come the end of the season.
Love it. Hunter Wildfires 12, Northern Suburbs 44 to finish round 16. Norths were well up for it, as they should be, and they started strongly. Their backline had some nice spice to it. Nathan Russell's return is always welcomed by North. Shane Wilcox continues to get better. Liam Donnell looks a brilliantly developed talent and scored a nice try for North's first. He's added plenty since the debut a couple of weeks ago. Josh Barr is deceptively strong and full of determination. Donnell had a double within 22 minutes, and then a maul try helped give North a 17-7 lead within 30 minutes. North then ran away with it in the second half. A couple of yellow cards didn't help Hunter's case. TJ Talaleva scored a great solo try for Hunter's second, but Wilcox and Circa continued to attack. North's forwards performed strongly. The backs produced the goods off the back of it. Barr ended with a double. It was a strong win from Norths and an important one for them too, away up in Hunter. Hunter now definitely out of it. North's battling with the Two Blues and Eastwood for 6th. And it does set us up beautifully for the run towards the finals for those sides still in contention. But Parksy, keen to have a little bit of a look at some of the contenders for the Ken Catchpole medal, but also the Rookie of the Year. Both of those awards hotly contested, highly sought after, very prestigious as well. Wes Thomas, the reigning Ken Catchpole medal. Again, our thoughts with Wes and his family. At the moment, the entire Warringah and Shute Shield communities. Parksy, on the list of contenders for the Ken Catchpole medal, this is in alphabetical and club order that is on the screen. But for you, who are some of the players who have really stood out this year?
Yeah, it's a very exciting time of the year, as you said, coming into the Ken Catchpole medal. It's a night I always look forward to, I've got to say, Will. So hopefully I'll be there again. But yeah, there's been you'd have to say, it's been an interesting season, because some of the players in particular, you would say poll very well, have polled well in different stages of the year. So as an example, I think early doors, or certainly since they've been back for the Beasties, Jack Bowen and Teddy Wilson, they will poll very well. But again, it's probably the volume. They're not getting as many games as if they did play a full season. Clearly, they'd be right up there. But early in the season, Southern Districts, Tuinak of Andrew, he was absolutely phenomenal. I think in those opening 8 rounds, he would have polled very, very well. So he potentially could be someone that's a bit sneaky. And I think towards the tail end of the season, West Harbour, Pete Samu has been absolutely outstanding. You mentioned Hunter Hannaford before, but I'd have to say Samu, I think, will be shortlisted. But I think for me, the most obvious and probably favourite would be Ben Maher. Ben Maher, the Warringah captain and fullback, he is such a consistent performer. Pretty much plays every week. I think he might have only missed one game this season. And as I said, every game he plays in, that certainly Warringah have been a winning team. You'd have to say he will poll pretty well in those. So I reckon Ben Maher is probably the favourite, but there's a lot of contenders.
Isn't there? That's a good call about Ben Maher. Issy Naisarani's another one who, if he had played right the way through, might be streaks ahead. The West Harbour one's fascinating because Cam Moore's had a brilliant season, but Pete Samu's been massive the past little while. So maybe stealing a few votes off Cam Moore there, but we can't wait for that one. Always one to look forward to, the Ken Catchpole medal night. I'm sure we'll find a way to sneak our way in there, Parksy. But the Rookie of the Year, we're blessed in this competition every year from a developmental perspective, great coaching, bringing players through. But this year in particular, it feels like it is a deep list of Rookie of the Year contenders.
Yeah, it certainly is. And, for myself, you could vote on any of those players that have been shortlisted. But I've sort of narrowed it down to 3. And I think those 3 being TJ Talaleva from up at the Hunter. He had a wonderful start to the season. Under 20s representative for the Wallabies, but he's a guy that's been, I'd say, pretty consistent the whole way through. I know Darren Coleman will be delighted with what he's done all season long. Billy Dickens, former East Junior, East Cumberland, Newington student, came across to Eastern Suburbs as a Colt. He was very impressive there, but I think pretty much every week he pretty much scores the first try in every game he plays for Manly. So he has been extremely influential for that club. And again, another halfback who certainly we will talk a lot about in more recent times is Ollie Schmood. Schmood has been exceptional, in particular the back end of the season, playing behind what is a very dominant Sydney University pack. So I'd be surprised if it's not one of those three. And my favourite in there would be Ollie Schmood, I'd say.
Agree with all of that, but a couple of names I'd love to add to that. Wyatt Ballinger, when he's played, has been brilliant. Hasn't played probably enough. Shane Wilcox emerging before our eyes has been great. Mangelsdorf, again, really good. But Aidan Wearne at West Harbour, his start to the year was brilliant. He's lifted of late as well. And the way that West Harbour has navigated the season, and Aidan Wearne has ridden a lot of their fortunes and continued to produce when things maybe aren't going their way. I've loved watching the way he has developed in line with the hard work being put in by West Harbour. So he's a really exciting back rower. He's played in the second row as well, but another great prospect in the Blue Crane Capital Shute Shield. We're excited to see, hopefully in the competition, but even from his perspective, hopefully getting some higher honours in the not too distant future as well. But our match of the round this weekend, we can't wait for it, is Eastern Suburbs on Ladies' Day, and a very special scenario as well with what they're doing to raise money for the Royal Breast Fund, and they're hosting Sydney University as we dive a little bit deeper into that. Our match of the round this weekend is Eastern Suburbs hosting Sydney University at Woollahra Oval. And it's a special occasion at Woollahra this weekend as well, with Easts hosting a Ladies' Day, but also raising money for the Royal Breast Fund for the Royal Hospital for Women. Special jerseys will be worn and auctioned off too, so keep an eye out for that across East's socials. And I'm very pleased to say joining us is East's fullback, Sid Harvey. Sid, how are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, really keen. Bit nervous, bit excited, so I'm super pumped.
Love that. It's been a massive 18 months. East Super Rugby Oz and then a huge Super Rugby Pacific campaign. How do you reflect on that now that you're back at Woollahra ahead of another finals campaign?
Yeah, it's been pretty cool. I think it kind of all started the first year at Colts, where I had a really enjoyable year with some mates, and yeah, kind of all kick-started from there. So getting on back haven't lost here in a little while, so it's good to come back and play some more footy here. But yeah, I love it. It's been pretty special few months, and a few little nice accolades and stuff in there. But I'm just excited to get back and play some footy at East.
On that, there have been some changes, players coming in, players coming out. What's the feeling like within the squad ahead of a big final month ahead?
Yeah, there's been a bit of a stop start with a few of the players out, and Bowie and myself and Teddy last week we were out, and then it's a bit choppy and changey, but the core group is right there. There's still Josh Boxer's leading us well, and it's all pretty much around him. So we kind of come in and slot in, and they work around us. So it's been a little bit difficult in some parts, but I think that general continuity's still been there, and hopefully we can build on that little test run this weekend.
With some of that refamiliarisation as such, what goes into that for you as a player, having played in Super Rugby Pacific, knowing a few of the players at East, but then coming back into a side which was going really well, but has other levels and layers to build upon? What's that process like for you as a player?
Yeah, I think the first thing is just familiarising yourself with the calls again. So it's going back and forth between calls, and I'll be sometimes calling TARS calls out here, which will confuse a few of the boys, but. No, it's been good with someone like with Teddy as well and Jack Bowen. Just having them as that kind of core, you can just kind of work with them a bit and get yourself in the game. And then, it takes time to kind of build those connections with the rest of the East boys. But it's been good. It's been a lot of like extra stuff you have to do and making sure you're all over the plays and stuff. But it's been enjoyable. There's a really good group. They're really adaptable and the rest of the boys. So it's kind of just feeding off them really.
We've loved seeing what East has done this year, and certainly from an attacking perspective too. We know the hard work gets done up front. Rian Lowry is one of our absolute favourites. But from a backline perspective, who have you enjoyed seeing play and getting to know and are looking forward to playing with over the next little while?
I've I won't tell him this to his face, but I love playing with Otto.
Yeah.
Otto Serpentine. I played with him first in Colts, and he had no idea who I was, and I had no idea who he was. But I think after the first training session when he got me under the ribs, I quickly familiarised myself with him. But he's just an elite ball carrier, and just it's what footy should be. So yeah, someone like Otto, and obviously Camu as well. Camu Valentini is a bit of an all-round freak. So just working with him, it's been pretty cool.
Do you think Otto's got the sort of game that would thrive with greater opportunity?
No, mate, 100%. He's not one that loves training, but when you get him on a footy field, he's pretty natural at it. So yeah, if we can just get him to love training, he'd probably go really far with it. But no, 100%. He's got the skill set and the work rate to match anyone at super level and beyond. So yeah, I'd love to see him get another crack. He had a crack at Super Oz last year and was really good. So hopefully see that again and as a just reward for this season. So yeah, I reckon he's got it.
There's a special atmosphere down there at Woollahra, and the surface, we appreciate it. It's certainly different at times, but what do you find different about that from a fullback's perspective as well, defensively and in attack? And how do you guys sort of lean into that, certainly against a team like Uni this weekend when they turn up in terrific form?
Yeah, they're in good form at the moment. We've been watching them, and we're wary of their threats, and they have a running style game, but I think that'll be their Achilles heel, and that'll get him into trouble this weekend. So I hope not anything, but it will be. We really back our defence, but as a fullback, I guess it's just probably giving yourself a bit of an extra few yards on the kicks because they tend to bounce a lot further and run a fair bit. But it certainly suits our style. So if you want to come with their game, we can certainly match it with our attacking game. So whatever they want, we'll go back at them.
On that special atmosphere at Woollahra, this Saturday will be a great occasion, no doubt, for the club and the Blue Crane Capital Shute Shield across the board. It's Ladies' Day, special jerseys and raising money for the Royal Breast Fund for the Royal Hospital for Women. How nice is that to be a part of and supporting that cause? Oh,
yeah, it's unreal. I'll have two of my sisters here and my mum here as well. So, yeah, it'll be pretty cool to have those jerseys on in a cause that's pretty close to my mum's heart as well. So, to be able to wear that and hopefully raise some money for a pretty special cause is, that's really cool. And it's just a little extra addition to what'll already be a pretty cool day. So, it's a nice little extra addition on top there.
We've spoken with Josh Boxer on the Shute Out this season, and we know the forward pack prides themselves on their set piece. It's a big, strong, abrasive, mobile Uni pack. They've got a lot of Super Rugby players, Wallabies in there as well. Nick Champion de Crepney comes back, and then that backline's really clicking. What's the talk around East at the moment in terms of some of those players you really need to sort of home in on and shut down?
Yeah, we know their strengths. They know their strengths as well, so we know what we need to do to nullify them, but a lot of it is just doing our own game really well, and there's no team in Shute that can match us with that. So, if we bring our forward set piece and our set piece is on, our backs can just play off the back of that. So, I think that can kind of nullify their attacking game in itself. So, there'll be a fair bit of defensive pressure coming on this weekend. So, we'll see if they can play their usual attacking style this weekend.
Sid, we really appreciate your time. Love what you've been doing across many different competitions in the past 18 months, from Narrabri to Colts, and then obviously with Super Rugby Pacific and also at East. Congratulations on that. Good luck this weekend, and thanks for your time.
Cheers. Thank you very much. It'll be a good one.
Sydney University are flying and head into the match of the round against Eastern Suburbs as one of the hottest sides in the Blue Crane Capital Shute Shield. We're very pleased to say we are joined again by their coach, John Manenti. John, hello. Thank you for your time. How are you?
Good, fellas. Thanks. Happy to be here, and I'm going really well. Thank you.
John, the win over Rats was a bit of a statement win for a lot of people. What did you take out of that victory?
I suppose that, we've been trying to just build a little bit each week. Stay in the game for longer periods. We built probably our probably greatest match minutes, if you want to call it that, where we kept pressure on and stayed in the game for longer than we have probably throughout the season. That was probably the big difference. Beliefs building. I think, Warringah are obviously a quality side, and they mightn't have been at their best on the weekend. I know they had a few guys out and different things, but it certainly gives you a lot of confidence and belief to sort of feel like we're heading in the right direction. and builds us nicely into this weekend.
We spoke last time about a few of the younger players who have really emerged, and Ollie Harvey had just come in. But who's impressed you the most over the past few weeks, and you're most excited to see really lift towards finals?
Mate, Ollie's been excellent. I think he's been the best couple of players on the field in every game he's played. So that's pretty exciting. I just think we're starting to embed combinations, and it was nice on the weekend that we had a late change with Joey Fowler withdrawing on Thursday and brought Henry James in, and he did really well given he had one night's training session. And then we had George Pullman out and Eddie came in, so we sort of feel like we're sort of embedded our combinations in our time together enough that when those things happen, we've got a decent plan and there's enough time together that we're not having to reinvent the wheel each week. So there's a nice progression happening. I think we're playing a style of football the boys are really enjoying. We're sort of creating some nice tries, and everyone's having fun and buying into the style of footy we're playing. So that's probably what I'm really enjoying out of the last couple of weeks.
And John, I've got to say, you just mentioned there about your halves, and I'd be interested to get a bit more feedback on your fly halves in particular. But while we're touching on Ollie Schmood, it's fair to say I think he's certainly one of the form players in the competition over the past couple of weeks. And just tell me a bit more about Ollie. Obviously, I've had a bit to do with Ollie through his junior rugby, but he's absolutely outstanding at the moment. And do you think he has the ability to go to the next level?
Yeah, I do. I do. He's just a footballer. I mean, we spent the whole preseason training him at 10. He's played 9, 10, 15 for uni over the last few years. And then I suppose we had a couple injuries and forced him to play at 9 for us, and impressed and did really well. And he's quite instinctive. He's not your standard 9 the way he plays, and he's not as structured as a lot of 9s, but he's a big body. He creates a threat when he carries. Some of his defence and cover tackles have been unbelievable. And I think he's got a kicking game. So he's a threat on all three formats. As he, I suppose, hones his delivery, his halfback skills, and gets better at that, I think he's definitely got the capabilities to playing at a high level. Obviously playing around a pack that was sort of doing okay on the weekend, is a nice opportunity for him to play off. But equally, he's been really good when we haven't been as dominant, because again, he's a big body and he can get you out of trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to say that performance on the weekend, which we'll touch on later on, was very, very impressive. Forwards were absolutely dominant, as you said. And you made mention of the name Henry James before. I noticed he was included in the Sydney University Team of the Week this week, and I think that's very much deserved. Yeah, an absolute blinder on the back of a dominant pack. Obviously, he'll fill the role in the next couple of weeks, and give us an idea of where Joey Fowler's at, and how likely is it that he'll be back in, obviously presuming you guys do make a decent run into the finals.
Yeah, he'll be back. He'll be back for finals. He's sort of in the medical hands of the Waratahs, so we're a little bit driven by where they come. But it's certainly making positive noises, and he's making positive noises that he's hopeful for next week. But if he doesn't get to next week, he should be right for round 1 of finals.
John, Nick Champion de Crepney's been named to play at number 8 this weekend. He is a bit of a favourite son of uni in the past little while, was there in that success in the previous decade. What's that like having him back, and do we think we'll see any extra reinforcements over the next couple of weeks as well?
No, well, yeah, when I say no, I don't expect so. I mean, our only other Wallaby in that mix is Harry Potter, and he's sort of obviously in the squad there. So I think they play tests right through the final series in some capacity. I think they're in Argentina grand final day, so I don't expect to see him, and hopefully Crepo, he gets to show what he can do and force his way back into that squad, because that's obviously the plan, and hopefully we can play a part in helping him do that. But meanwhile, while he's with us, he's been brilliant. He's just such an attitudinal player, lifts the guys around him, works hard at training. I mean, the young back rowers in Mango and Doyley are really blessed, and Ollie are really blessed to have him around and be able to sort of see, I suppose, that he was somebody that was successful on the back of hard work, and he lives that every training session.
East this weekend, Ben Batcher's the coach. We know you have a special relationship with Ben. How special is it going into a clash like this at this time of year? You got the job done against them last time, but what conversations do you have with Ben, and how nice is it for you to be going up against East this weekend with Ben Batcher and even Jed Gillespie on the other side of the fence?
Yeah, well, it is. When I say it's always fun playing against your mates and guys you played, coached and coached with, and coached as players, and they're both excellent coaches doing a terrific job. And I had a bit of a chuckle. I read through one of the papers that East are claiming underdog status. Benny's claiming underdog status. When you've lost one game all season, it's good, but classic coaching 101. We'll take the underdog stance. But mate, I'm happy. I'm happy that we're playing each other in a game that matters. For them, they'll want to obviously finish Roden Cutler, have that for the end of the season, wrap up the club championship, finish minor premiers, all those sorts of things. So they've got a fair bit on stake. And if I know both those guys like I think I do, it'll mean a hell of a lot to them to try and bounce back, I suppose, after we had a decent day out against them last time. So I think it'll be pretty. They'll be very motivated around a performance this weekend, no doubt.
In terms of that Eastern Suburbs side, what sticks out to you for areas you really need to be on top of this Saturday?
Well, they've probably got the best scrum in the comp, and that certainly sets them up nicely. They're excellent inside the 22. They score a lot of their points in that sort of red zone through driving maul, through pick and go. Rion Lowry's a great weapon for them close to the line. Jimmy Hokafuna, who I'm also tight with through Eastwood and San Diego. I know how difficult he is to stop and what a good footy player he is, and he'll cause a fair bit of carnage, no doubt. And then Teddy Wilson, possibly the best player playing Shute Shield, you know what I mean? So he's a constant threat. He's always going to be sniffing for opportunities, and you don't have to give him too much for him to make pay of it. So, but again, you don't win. Yeah, you don't win. Where are we? Round 17. You don't win 16 out of 17 games on the back of one or two players. They've obviously clearly got a good team. They know how they play. They know their style. They've turned over players too, like all the teams have, I suppose, and they continue to turn up every week. So, they've got threats. Probably the underestimated threat is knowing how they want to play and delivering their game style, which they've done really consistently over the season.
John, we really appreciate your time again. Congratulations on the way you've built this season with Sydney University's Shute Shield side, and beyond that too, with all of the grades going well. Good luck this weekend against East. We genuinely can't wait. It's going to be a great one.
Thanks, guys. Looking forward to it.
Round 17 of the Blue Crane Capital Shute Shield. 2 rounds remaining in the regular season, and Dan Parks, our match of the round, is Eastern Suburbs hosting Sydney University. Huge amount on the line, but just 2 absolutely stacked lineups.
Yeah, they certainly are. And this is the time of year we talk about we love getting to. We're into round 17. And it appears as though each and every single week that becomes a massive matchup. And, well, let's be honest, East versus Uni right now, the 2 form teams of the competition, and they go head-to-head this week at Woollahra. It's going to be a big afternoon, and I guess on paper it's a really hard one to distinguish who really is the favourite. East have only had the 1 loss all year, and that, of course, was to Sydney University, 33 points to 10 earlier in the year. And well, Uni, after what might consider a bit of a shaky start to the year. They were sort of finding their feet, or certainly since they've got some players back, they have found that feet. Combinations are strong, and it promises to be a really, really exciting game. And if you're going off anything from last week, well, University, their pack was absolutely dominant. We know how strong the East pack is, so that promises to be a really intriguing matchup. And then I think it's just going to come down to who can produce the best ball for their backs. We've already touched on the halves. Ollie Schmood's having a blinder for Sydney University, but he comes up against Teddy Wilson, who, in my opinion, is probably the best club rugby player we have here in Sydney, and he has been for the past couple of years. So if he can get a dominant, or at least on par up front with his forwards, he has got all sorts of ability to run all sorts of trouble through this University outfit. So, as I said, it promises to be a real cracker of a match, and I'm probably just going to go with the home team in this one. As I said, they got through Eastwood last week, and I think they'll want to make a real statement here. So I think Eastern a real nail-biting finish.
Eastwood versus Southern Districts at TG Milner. Likely the last time we will see the Shute Shield at TG Milner. So a huge occasion for Eastwood. And if you are anywhere in the area or keen to get out and see them there, make sure you do, because it is steeped in history and tradition with the Eastwood Rugby Club. They're going to need to beat Southern Districts, though, and they will want to keep their top six charge alive. We know that Western Sydney and Northern Suburbs are right there on their heels. It's a good-looking Eastwood lineup. Strength in the forward pack, that consistency's there as well. Tom Goddard in at 9. Roderick Evans has been good as well, offers that stability for them too. Weapons in the back 3, Isaac Crowe, Lockie Shelley, Dylan Nelson, as good as any. But as mentioned, they're going to have to beat Southern Districts. They are chasing victories and they are working hard. They know how to score points. It's a fairly settled Southern District side still. No Radamite Tavuki Neatkins, which is a loss for them, but Blaze Barnes has been steering them around really well. Landon Walker at 9, the Elias Noah at 8 offers good ball running ability too. Douglas was great last weekend too. So big occasion at TG Milner. They'll need to be fired up. We have no doubt they will be. Tough occasion for Southern Districts to keep chasing those victories heading over to Eastwood and TG Milner. So you'd think Eastwood would get this one done. They should get it done, but a lot to like about the way Southern Districts fight. So it'll be a good contest. Really looking forward to it. Parksy Gordon versus Warringah at Chatswood, a really fascinating clash.
Yeah, this one is a fascinating one because there's a lot of implications coming into the final series here. On paper, Gordon v Warringah. Warringah obviously sitting in second place, Gordon in third. They're only 5 points off them, and we mentioned earlier on about Wes Thomas. He'll be missing this week. They've had a few injury concerns, in particular to their outside backs, have the Rats, but there's still a lot of quality in that outfit. So they'll be certainly up for it. They recognise how close this competition is becoming, and they do want to finish inside that top 2. So it promises to be a huge game for the Rats. Gordon, on the flip side, if you look at how they performed in that first half last week against West Harbour, Coach Telfer will not be impressed. Obviously, he'll be happy with the result, but he would not have been impressed with that first half. And you could just see a real bounce back coming here. And, we've mentioned a lot of the quality of their players. Harrison Goddard, replaced by Lockie Albert. They've got 2 quality halves. Harry Snook has been sensational. And, well, Milan Basson up front as well. He really leads this team by example. So I've got a funny feeling Gordon might scrape this one. I think if they can, and finish strong towards the tail end of the year, Warringah have another tough game next week up against Randwick as well away. So it's a tough ending for the Rats, and I think Gordon will sniff an opportunity in there, and they can get a victory here. Hey, they might finish inside the top 2.
Yep, a lot to play for and a fascinating end to the regular season ahead of us. And that continues with this one, the Two Blues versus Randwick at Eric Tweedale, Western Sydney, celebrating a premiership reunion and marking that occasion. A lot at stake. The Two Blues trying to get into the top 6. They've had a great season. A couple of bounces of the ball haven't gone their way. They've missed a couple of opportunities to assert some dominance. But Randwick, one of the hottest sides in the competition and a bit of a nightmare for a lot of the established top 4 as such in the competition. The front row for Western Sydney looms large. Lord and Henderson in the second row. Braden Stewart's had an incredible season. And the backline's interesting as they sort of settle back into things. Rod Yona's in at 12 now, partnering to Tamaki in the centres. Smiler Arkeong is back at fullback too. Suesue and Suesue in the halves. There is a lot to like about the two Blues and the way that they play when they can. For Randwick, though, the way that they've been scoring points is setting this up as a real shootout. Adkins, Finau and Tavai in the front row. It's a big second row with a lot of experience. Brilliant back row too. There's a lot to like about Randwick. Short and Hendren. A toss of the coin, genuinely, with this one. Randwick probably in better form, but the two Blues at home, the way that they'll be fighting for that top 6 spot, I can't wait. I can't wait to watch it. Can't wait to see how it unfolds. Randwick perhaps going as favourite, but not by much. The two Blues could genuinely scupper Randwick's momentum, but we will see. Parksy, Norths versus Manly. Huge clash for Norths at home.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's a big one for Norths this week. They recognise that we've got 2 rounds to go. It's a must-win against Manly this week, and they come up against Southern Districts next week. So if they can get the result this week, and as we said, and they can put a good performance in next week, there's potential that they could possibly leapfrog eastward to get inside that top 6. So it's a must-win for them, and they recognise that. Manly, well, let's be honest, they're the disruptors at the moment, and they certainly look like they were going to cause what would be considered a big upset last week over Randwick for a large portion of that game until a huge second half performance from the Wicks. And Manly, well, we know the quality they've got. We've already mentioned a few of their players, in particular in the halves. They've got Caden Neville there as well. They've got some quality scoring on the edge. They've got a really good goal kicker as well. So for me, Manly, they could cause all sorts of complications. And let me tell you, they'll go into this game wanting to, I guess, upset the apple cart and make sure Norths don't get in. There's a lot of rivalry there. But as I said, I think, going back a couple of weeks, I was at that North Gordon game, and they were certainly off their game with Northern Suburbs, but they put it together last week. They put a good performance in. They put themselves back in contention to make the top 6. And knowing the club, knowing Zach Beer, how important it is for this club to get in there, I predict Norths, and I'm predicting quite a high-scoring game this week.
West Harbour versus Hunter Wildfires at Concord, the last match of round 17. You'd think the way the Pirates are playing that they'll win this and win it well. Hunter are officially out of it now. They have another trip down to Sydney. The forward pack is very settled for West Harbour. Or Irameski, Kaloma-Tungi are brilliant in the front row. Bennett and Naseru. Bennett's just been great since he came in, a big Englishman, doing great things. Wern, Alcock and Samu in the back row is great too. No Debrasini, Bodie Chan at 10, but the rest of the back line very settled and well organised. Hannaford's been really good at the fullback too. So they can control this performance at home, the Pirates, and really put another step towards a great back half of the year. It'd be a great win for them because Hunter have just missed a couple of opportunities this year. There's been a lot to like about their season too. It's a big forward pack, mobile too. The Talalavas in the back row. John Morris has been physical and abrasive of late too. Love and Cullen Gray have built a great combination in the halves, and is exciting if they can keep that together for next year and build off that. But you would imagine the Pirates should win this the way recent performances have been going. And I'm looking forward to seeing a lot of those young stars continue to emerge around the seasoned performers for West Harbour. Parksy, that is it for round 17, ahead of round 17 in the Blue Crane Capital Shute Shield. Mate, thanks so much. Thanks for joining us on the Shootout. A great friend of the show ahead of being a part of it this week, but have loved having you with us.
Thank you, Will. It's been lots of fun, and always love talking about club rugby, and I'm excited for the last 2 weeks of the competition and then going into final series. It promises to be one of the best seasons, or has been one of the best seasons, and I think this final series, it'll be a very exciting end to the season, which all culminates on the 5th of September at Leichhardt Oval, the famous Leichhardt Oval. So I look forward to seeing you for the next 5 weeks, Will.
Absolutely right. And make sure to secure your tickets for that grand final at Leichhardt Oval. We're going to look at doing a little bit of a live show from Leichhardt Oval as well, which we will drag you into, Parksy, maybe from up in the commentary box a couple of hours or an hour before kickoff, just to give some final thoughts in the build-up to that grand final. But remember to like, subscribe, let us know what you think about the Rookie of the Year, and also Ken Catchpole, who you think should be in there. And we'll look forward to the Shootout again next week.